me reacting to these scary animation stories. So yeah, here's a scary animation story. It doesn't sound scary, but it was in like scary recommendations. So yeah, hey guys, back with another video, and this called "I Found Her After 20 Years." It doesn't sound too scary, but maybe it is. Anyways, before I get started, if you like this video, make sure you like it and smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button too. And if you can this time, click that bell for notifications. I heard there's some troubles with that. And don't forget that tell all your friends about my channel and check out my TikToks. They're really cool. Anyways, let's get started.
Kidnappings are scary, but I have
Nah, that sounds scary. Alright.
to say that maybe being kidnapped all those years ago probably wasn't the worst thing to happen to me.
How?
It sounds a little complicated, right? Get ready to buckle up for a wild ride about how a kidnapping taught me about love and heartbreak. Not everyone gets a happy ending, but I guess that's just life, right?
He didn't get a happy ending? Oh my god.
Before I go into any particulars, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Every time someone subscribes, they get 10 years of good fortune. Just try not to let it get to your head. I never had much luck with making friends, because I was always tall for my age. I realized people were kind of scared of me. Bullies always wanted to be my friend. For a while, my best friends were these two jerks my age.
My brother is like tall too, but it doesn't mean that he can't like make friends. Oh, by the way, go check out his channel and his TikTok. And yeah. And my brother's tall, but he has plenty of friends. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this guy.
One day when we were about 12 or so, we were
Wait, he's friends with jerks? Oh god. He's BFFs with jerks. You couldn't have just denied their friend invitation. Oh my god.
around a park and they saw this girl our age playing with a doll.
She doesn't look very your age.
The two other boys I was walking with exchanged a menacing look with each other. Without saying another word, they rushed at the girl and ripped the doll in half right in front of her. She was crying so hard. I could tell the doll must have meant a lot to her.
How is she's like a kid. How is she their age?
She ran off crying. I yelled at the two boys. How dare you just
Oh, because you have a crush on her?
do that to some helpless little girl, I yelled. Rules don't apply to big guys like us, one of them answered. Their attitude made my blood boil. I lost my cool, and instead of responding, I kind of beat them up. I got in so much trouble when I got home, but honestly, it was worth it.
Yeah, it was worth to be up for your love. If you even love her, which you do.
I refused to apologize and never made up with them. In fact, I took a break from making friends for
He said, wait, this guy said he'll be back, and he said, I think so.
some time. My experiences, especially of the
back.
poor little girl crying over her
Get wrecked, he won't be back.
ripped doll, haunted
Wait, they're gonna kidnap him. Oh my god.
me. One day, when I was walking home from school, I was fighting back tears, thinking about how lonely I was, when a girl asked me a question. Are you okay? I looked up to see who was talking and was taken aback. She
That's the little girl from a couple years ago.
was a little older now, but there was no mistaking her for the girl who my ex-friends had sent into tears. I spilled everything out to her about how horrible I was feeling and how lost I felt not having any friends. I explicitly left out that I was that jerk who stood idly by as her toy was ripped in shreds. Now, I was 13 and considered myself a bit of a macho
Oh, so you're wearing the same shirt over and over again?
man. I wasn't really used to expressing my
All the animation people wear shirts over and over again, so it doesn't bother me.
feelings like that, but I have to admit, it felt nice to finally unbottle everything I had been feeling. She was incredibly comforting and had been going through some troubles herself. She opened up to me about how she was being bullied in school and how her home life wasn't so great. Lisa was the same age as me, yet she was facing struggles beyond anything I've ever known.
They're
Before we
perfect for each other.
could get into too many details, two men dragged us away in the back of a car. The two men told us that they were kidnapping us for ransom. He had mistaken Lisa
I
for my
knew
younger
it.
sister.
I knew it.
He demanded that I give him my father's private contact information to make a call. For the second time in my life,
And this moment, Lisa break down.
I had seen Lisa break down. This time, I would be there to comfort her. I promised that no matter what happened, I would protect her with everything I had. This seemed to comfort her a lot, and I got a warm feeling from watching the smile form on her sobbing face. He drove us to a deserted place
That's
and locked us in a shed.
creepy. Like cry. Smile. No, I'm smiling. No, I'm smiling. No, I'm smiling because I'm happy. Oh my God,
Back out back. He told us he'd be back to bring us home once my father released the funds. Lisa was crying so hard and didn't stop for hours. The kidnapper yelled at Lisa and something came over me.
I don't like those people who cry a lot. Jesus. Oh, Dad. That's gonna
How dare he yell at her? I punched the kidnapper in the
stomach. Because it was your ex-best friends and you know how to beat them up. Oh, I hate these ads. Good. All right.
stomach and grabbed Lisa's hand. Together, we ran as fast
Why do you love her that much?
as we could. We only made it a couple of miles before Lisa collapsed on the ground. We were exhausted and hadn't eaten anything in so long. It was very cold and dark. Alone, I think I would have been fine to tough it out. Sadly, Lisa was not cut out for the wild. After a couple of days of living off wildflowers and stream water, we were both pretty tired. She could hardly stand. I told her at first that I was going to go and ask for help, but she hugged onto me and begged me to not
Please
leave
don't
her
leave
alone.
me.
Sadly, I realized with the two of us, I had no other choice. Lisa would not survive in this condition. I carried her all the way back to the shack in the forest. The kidnappers were surprised that I returned. I yelled at them to get us food and water and not dare lay a finger on her. I told them to take care of us, and I would make sure that my dad would get the message. I took his phone and called my father myself, begging him to pick us up. Lucky for us, my father answered rather quickly.
He looks mad. Oh, I don't think he's gonna pick him up.
We didn't have a lot of money, but my father gave everything he had to spare. The man let us know that he would be driving us to a ransom location. He would text my parents the details once he had time for a clean getaway. It all went pretty smooth.
His friends are really evil. You shouldn't have never ever even, and I told you shouldn't have never even accepted their friend invitation. It was all pretty smooth. Okay.
As far as kidnappings go. But Lisa was very shaken up, even after the kidnapper had driven off. He left us in the middle of the woods, and it was pretty dark and spooky. Not that I would even let Lisa know I was a little scared too. I kept trying to assure her that we were all okay, but she started freaking out again. She asked what would happen if it happened again. What if her parents couldn't find her? Or worse, what if they didn't care she was even gone? I told her that no matter what, I would protect her from here on out. She hugged onto me so tight and didn't let go until my parents eventually came. They brought Lisa back to her house. Her mother came up and approached the car, asking why Lisa had been out so late. Her mom's face went deathly pale when my father and mother explained what went on tonight. She went on rants about how irresponsible Lisa was to get kidnapped and how Lisa knew better than to get into the car with a
Yeah, your parents are really mad.
stranger. I tried to jump to her defense, but in the end, I think I only made things worse. It wasn't her fault, I foolishly insisted. They came and snatched us up. Oh, well then I guess this neighborhood is just too dangerous for Lisa to be walking around in, her mom commented again. I didn't want to leave Lisa behind in that house that she hated, but I didn't have a choice. I thought we'd be able to catch up again. Sadly, I was very wrong. I went to that park day after day, week after week. I even went during the weekends in bad weather, hoping to sneak into a conversation with the first person I felt like I connected with. One day, I decided enough was enough. If Lisa wasn't going to be at the park, I could at least show up to her house. I planned on telling her everything. I even bought a brand new doll to replace the one I watched get ripped to shreds years ago. I thought she'd get a little kick after hearing how I beat up the boys who were mean to her. My heart sank when I made it to her house, though. There was a huge foreclosure sign on the door. I ran up and banged on the door, but no one was home. I peeked in the windows to see that the house was empty.
It's not possible for these guys. He can be able to beat everything up, but I guess he is.
Sparing a few pieces of garbage
He just rubs it in their face.
lying
Ah!
Got takeout, barefoot wine, and 14 hours of true crime burning a hole in my DVR. This murder's not gonna...
on the ground. I was devastated. I sat on the porch, and I'll admit I cried a bit. But I guess in a way, I considered her my first real friend. Losing her so abruptly hurt. Plus, part of me felt like I failed her. I decided that human connections weren't really my thing. They were an unnecessary disappointment. All through high school and
Not true.
college, I made nothing but colleagues. I took all the
But
energy
how come some stories don't have a happy ending? What do you mean?
most people put into socializing and relationships, and I channeled them into my career. I excelled at school and took advantage of every opportunity that came my way. I established a very successful company. one that stood apart from my father's legacy. A few smart investments later, and I ended up becoming very rich. I spent 4 hours holding interviews one afternoon for a secretary. They were all very pretty and incredibly qualified, but none of them felt right. It seemed they were all looking for a one-way ticket to marrying the boss. 3 of them emphasized the fact that they were single. Another interviewee wore fishnet stockings and a tight dress that would barely be appropriate at a club. The day was going by so slowly, and it only got worse. When I sent away the last girl, telling her we would be in touch, I called out for someone to get my coffee order. The only thing is, there was no secretary to get my order. I would never consider making one of my programmers or accountants get it for me. That wasn't their job. I decided to toughen it up and get my own coffee. Fresh air would
What do
probably
you mean
be good for me.
toughen it up? You
I
can't get your own coffee.
went to the closest coffee place to my office building. It was this giant chain place that was filled with men in suits and young, overwhelmed baristas in little green aprons. I had never actually been in the shop before and found the menu a little overwhelming. Whatever happened to just calling sizes large and small, you know? My focus was disrupted by someone spilling hot coffee right on my shoes. "I'm so sorry," a familiar voice said. There was no denying it. It was that girl from the park. Fate had yet again brought us together. I was completely tongue-twisted and had butterflies in my stomach. I wanted to say everything to her right there, about how I had been looking for her all these years. Sparks were flying.
I know.
She had grown up to be so beautiful, in a humble kind of way.
She looks exactly the same, and I'm pretty sure she has the same clothes.
It was love at first sight. I decided that now was not the right time to confess my feelings. "Oh, no, this was my fault. No need to apologize. I shouldn't have blocked the way," I insisted. "Seriously, Lisa? This is the 5th time this week. That's coming out of your paycheck." A very unfriendly, albeit gorgeous, woman yelled at her. I recognized her as one of the people who interviewed earlier for the position. "Oh, I didn't notice it was you, Mr. Conrad. See, this is what I mean. I need that job so I can stop working with such stupid people." I could see Lisa fighting back tears. All of my
Oh, why would you want to date that girl? She cries all the time.
protective instincts filled my very soul. "You know, at my company, we don't talk to our employees that way," I said. "I think you can count this conversation as an official rejection." The woman got red in the face. She turned to Lisa and fired her on the spot, saying this was all her fault. The woman threw a coffee cup on the floor and stamped her feet like she was a child.
Yeah, 'cause you are a child. Get roasted. Get roasted face. Why is she...
I helped Lisa up as she still continued to apologize. I asked if I would be able to take her out to lunch after causing so many problems. She reluctantly agreed. I ended up getting coffee at another place, and we stayed talking for hours.
So he says that, oh, you want to go out for lunch instead of just saying hi when they see her again, or like, where have you been, or something. Like, that's not something I would say if I saw a friend who I didn't see for a long time.
I blew off all my interviews and everything. At the end of the conversation, she started going on about how worried she was about not having work. I decided to hire her on the spot. She was so grateful, and I was so happy to see the smile in her eyes. She didn't seem to recognize me at all, and part of me liked it that way. She treated me with the same care and respect she did as a kid. Lisa was truly a genuine person.
She didn't even recognize you. Oh my God. Tell her who you are. That's what I would do. Oh my God, so weird.
I never hated going to work, but I never thought I would be genuinely excited to show up. Lisa gave me a reason to want to be there. She may not have been qualified, but she was great at her job in a way. She kept me grounded and always knew how to bring up my spirits. I fell in love with her. Now, you're probably wondering what was holding me back from sharing my feelings. I mean, not to be cocky, but I
Oh, now you just know that you fell in love with her?
was incredibly rich and handsome. The thing is, there was a huge thing standing in my way. See, Lisa had a boyfriend. Let's call him Kent.
Oh my God. Well, let's call him Cat. Say his name.
Kent was an absolute jerk. He was a scrawny bum who didn't work and expected Lisa to clean up after him like some sort of teenager. He used to be a bartender, but when he saw what Lisa was making, he immediately quit his job. He was so mean to her all the time. Sometimes she would come in late and you could tell she had just finished crying. It was always something stupid and selfish. I told Lisa a few times that I think she should leave him. She could do so much better, and I really didn't see what she saw in him. Every time she gave me the same answer. "I don't know, I just love him. You can't always explain love, right?" Ugh. Every time she said that, my chest would hurt. How could such an amazing girl love such a horrible guy?
Give up then.
I tried to keep my feelings in, even if I felt like I was being a little obvious sometimes. Lisa never seemed to notice me pining after her. The longer we spent time with each other, the more my love for her grew. The less patience I had for Kent and his problems.
Why doesn't Lisa feel the same way? He hugged her tight. Like Lisa is a little idiot.
One week,
Kind of an idiot, that's what I meant.
Lisa broke down in the office and was inconsolable.
She always breaks down. Oh, did he break up with you?
She told me how Kent had cheated on her. He said it was her fault for spending so much time in the office. The worst part is, she believed she was responsible. He told her how he was the best thing to ever happen to her, cheating or not. Her self-esteem was so low. He could control her into believing anything. I was so angry. My protective instincts went on overdrive, and the same angry 12-year-old that beat up her bullies was coming out of me now. I told her that I had a meeting out of town and to continue working without me. In actuality, I was paying Kent a visit. I told myself that we were just going to talk. I was just there to set him straight. Maybe make Lisa's life a little easier. Well, Kent was a bigger jerk than I imagined. The punk came up to my neck at best, and he was unshaven and wearing dirty clothes. When he asked what I was doing here, I told him I was Lisa's boss and I was here to talk about her. He immediately went on and on about how hard I must have it. He told me how useless and pathetic she was. And then he had the
Yeah, I kind of agree with him. She cries all the time. And finally, you just decide to change shirts.
audacity to tell me that he wouldn't blame me if I
See that guy change shirts.
decided to hire someone hot. That comment about her looks pushed me over the edge. I punched him. It was just one hit, but he was so much smaller than me. I saw immediately that I broke a few of his teeth. Learn how to treat Lisa right or else you'll be hearing from me again, I shouted. Oh, what, you've got a little crush on Lisa? She's mine, he screamed back. Before I got tempted enough to really hurt him, I left. I just went back to work like I normally did and didn't even bring it up to Lisa. I didn't have to bring it up to her though. The next day, she came into work early. She looked very upset and shaken up. I don't know if Kent told her that I had beaten him up, but he certainly told her he wasn't happy with me. She said Kent told her that she has to quit.
It's only a family vacation if all the family is together.
I asked her if it was about money. I could offer her more. She just said that she wasn't comfortable with working under me anymore. I started shouting out numbers. What if I give you $200,000 this month? $700,000? How about $1 million? She reluctantly just shook her head. I'm sorry, Hunter. She turned to leave, and I grabbed her shoulder and kissed her. She even kissed me back. The passion was electrifying. Stay with me, Lisa. I love you. I will always protect you. Let me do this for you. She looked at me with a hint of understanding in her eyes. It was you then, from the time we were kids. Yes, and I promised to protect you. I would love that. I really would. But Hunter, we aren't kids anymore. I begged her to stay. I got down on my knees and cried. I explained how perfect we were meant for each other. She told me.
But they're perfect for each other, actually. They both actually
That she had a feeling that she had known me her entire life. Sadly, we just met at the wrong time. She couldn't just get up and leave Kent. They were together for so long and she had feelings for him. I asked her to look me in the eyes and tell me she didn't love me. If she did that, I would let her go and move on with my life. She stared back at my serious face and broke down into tears. I just can't, she said as she rubbed her eyes. She ran out of the building with tears in her eyes. I stood there, mouth open. I thought that maybe she would come around. I was the obvious better choice, you know? I thought maybe I just made things
I
weird.
don't know how they're matched, but it's better than the other guy.
After 2 days passed since she quit, I sent her a text apologizing for the kiss. I told her I shouldn't have done that, but I meant everything I said. I was still there for her. She didn't respond to the text or anything. She didn't even read it. I started to really get worried, and after a week, I decided to check up on her myself. You know how it is. You look around for something. I was a little confused and asked where Lisa was. She just laughed and shouted back behind her. Hey, Kent, some suit is here to see your ex-girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend? He peeked around the corner and in a cowardly squeal screamed at her to slam the door. I quickly stopped the door with my hand and Kent dropped to the ground like a baby. He was sobbing and begging me not to hurt him. He just kept repeating that Lisa wasn't there. He looked just like a greasy pig trying to avoid becoming bacon. He was pathetic and not worth the trouble of beating up a second time this week. I stood there, dumbfounded.
Yeah, he's stupid.
If she wasn't there, then where was she? I took a drive through the city to clear my mind. I don't know what came over me, but I decided to go to the park from when we were kids. I planned on sulking on the swings in silence when I saw something that shook me to the core. Lisa was already there. I stopped my car in the middle of the street and ran out to hug her. She was crying very hard and just cried so hard.
Why? What's wrong? You're just a crybaby?
She didn't let me go for like a solid 5 minutes as we embraced each other in silence. Before we could say anything, someone yelled at me to move my car, and I invited her to come back with me to my house. Turns out, she had been homeless the last few days.
Homeless?
She had nothing but the clothes on her back and a dead cell phone. Before she got a chance to respond to my text, Kent saw them and threw her out. I apologized for getting her into trouble, and she said it was okay. Kent sucked, and she saw that now. She put up with so much cheating and everything. Yet, the second he found an excuse to leave her, he did. Not before draining her bank account, of course. Plus, she started to realize her feelings for him were dying, and she was starting
Yeah, now you just realized.
to get feelings for her boss. I blushed immediately, and she giggled a bit. When I asked why she didn't just come to me, she told me that she didn't want me to think that she just came back for security. Her plans were to get a job and get herself back on her feet. Then she would come back for me. When I asked her why, she told me the words I had been so desperate to hear. Because I love you, she blurted out. Then I, the big macho man, started to cry. It was the happiest moment of my
Congrats on making it to
life. Our happiness was not without its complications, though. Just a week after she moved in and we began our happily ever after, she found out she was
Please, what if you break up? And how is she pregnant? They're dating, they're not married.
pregnant. It upset me at first, but I promised to love him as my own. He grew up to be nothing like his deadbeat father. He's a great son and very protective of his two little sisters. I continue to look out for all of my family. I meant what I said. I would protect her forever.
Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye. And remember, tell all your friends about my YouTube channel. Bye.